Are you wondering if it's possible to buy a home after filing for bankruptcy? Or maybe you're planning to file and you're concerned about your future financial options. What if I told you that with the right steps, you can rebuild your financial life and qualify for a mortgage? Today, I'm going to be sharing my personal experience of getting a mortgage 8 years after my bankruptcy discharge, along with practical steps to help you do the same. Let's get into it. So, thinking back through my own financial challenges, I know how daunting it can feel to think about homeownership after bankruptcy. But by taking consistent strategic steps, I was able to turn my dream into reality, and you can too. Hey, I'm Ben, the host of the Break Free podcast and the co-founder of Upsolve. On this show, we tackle financial stress and help you create financial joy. We're all about making tough financial topics relatable and giving you the tools you need to break free from debt and build the future that you deserve. Quick disclaimer before we dive into today's topic. While I bring my personal experience and a law degree into our discussions, I'm not a licensed attorney or a financial advisor. This podcast is about sharing insights and tools that have helped many people, including myself. But for specific advice, please consult a professional. Here's what we're going to cover in today's episode. 1. Can you qualify for a mortgage after bankruptcy? 2. How long do you need to wait after bankruptcy to apply for a mortgage? 3. What mortgage options are going to be available to you? 4. How to rebuild your credit and save for a down payment. And then 5 steps to take to get mortgage ready after bankruptcy. Let's get into it. And let's start with my journey to buying a home after bankruptcy. 8 years ago, I filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And at the time, the thought of ever owning a home seemed impossible, right? Like, I couldn't keep up with my credit card payments. How the heck was I going to afford a mortgage? That just seemed completely insane. And it seemed like it was going to be even harder after bankruptcy. I was overwhelmed with debt, struggling to make my ends meet, and my credit score took a massive hit after I filed bankruptcy. But I refused to let my bankruptcy define my financial future. I started by rebuilding my credit, making sure I paid every bill on time, and using secured credit cards to demonstrate responsible credit behavior. I also focused on saving for a down payment, cutting unnecessary expenses, and ensuring that my income was stable. Eventually, I was able to work with a lender who understood my situation and helped me get approved for a mortgage. It was an incredible moment, proof that financial recovery is possible. And I'm actually sitting in the house that I bought today. Never thought this was going to be possible. Bankruptcy put me on the path to financial recovery. I rebuilt my credit and I got a mortgage at a good mortgage rate. You can do the same. So let's talk about what lenders are going to look for after bankruptcy, because it's important to understand this to know what you need to do to qualify for a mortgage after bankruptcy. If you filed for bankruptcy, lenders will closely examine your financial recovery. And here are the key factors that they consider. First is your credit score. A higher score shows you've managed your finances responsibly post-bankruptcy. Excuse me. Next is your debt to income ratio. Keeping your debt levels low compared to your income improves your chances of getting a mortgage. Next would be savings. Having a solid down payment saved up and an emergency fund signals financial responsibility. It also signals that you're not at risk, right? If you have enough money in your bank that you can cover something like a medical emergency or some other type of emergency, banks are going to say, okay, this person's going to be able to keep making payments even if something goes sideways. Next would be your employment history. Maintaining stable, consistent income reassures lenders of your ability to repay your loan. Okay, so these are the things that lenders are going to look at. Let's talk now about some steps you can take to qualify for a mortgage after bankruptcy. Number 1, rebuild your credit. Use a secured credit card or a credit builder loan, rent payments, rent reporting, things like that. Make on-time payments each time and monitor your credit report over time to make sure that credit has gone up. The higher your credit is, the better your chances of getting a mortgage, especially after a bankruptcy. Number 2, save for a down payment. Aim for at least 10 to 20% of the home's value in savings. I know this can be tricky to do. I was able to do it. I believe you can do it as well. But if you have less than that, it can be harder to get a good rate, especially if you have a bankruptcy on your record. Number 3, reduce your debt. Pay down existing obligations to improve your credit score and your debt to income ratio. That ratio between your debt and income is a very important thing that lenders look at. Also, you're going to want to choose the right loan type. There are different loan types, and each loan type has a different type of waiting period. We'll take a look at those now on the Upsolve article. The article is linked in the description. For those of you who are watching the video feed, you can walk along through this with me. Those of you on the audio only feed, I'll try to explain these things in detail. Take a look at that article and you can get a sense of what those waiting periods are and what the loan types are. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, here we go. Yes, you can get a mortgage after bankruptcy. This article is the source of information for this podcast episode. As always, I like to be a show you, not just tell you kind of guy. So it's linked in the show notes if you want to take a look. If you're on the video feed, you'll see it up here on my screen. The most important thing post-bankruptcy is to choose the right loan type. Different loan types have different requirements, different waiting periods. For example, FHA loans, you have to wait for about 2 years after Chapter 7 bankruptcy to get one. USDA home loans, you have to wait about 3 years. Veterans Affairs loans, VA loans, 2 years, and then conventional home loans between 2 and 4 years. Now, the waiting periods will depend on the type of bankruptcy filed. I've given you the numbers here for Chapter 7. Chapter 13 will have slightly different waiting periods. However, Chapter 13 is not something that we work with at Upsolve. So if you have questions about that, I would encourage you to contact a lawyer who handles Chapter 13 cases. Now, once you have chosen the right loan, assuming you qualify, it's useful to get pre-approved. So work with the lender so you can understand what you can afford and show them that you're serious about buying. And they'll be able to help you figure out how to get the best rate possible from the best loan type possible to get around the bankruptcy on your credit report. Now, Upsolve can help you prepare for this process. Most importantly, we can help you by helping you get out of debt. Like when I was in tons of debt, mortgage never felt possible, not just because my credit score wasn't good, because I had no money. It was all going to my credit cards. And Upsolve offers free tools and resources to help you rebuild your financial standing. Our free screener tool, which you should see up here on my screen if you're on the video feed, will help you determine if bankruptcy is the right option for you. And it'll offer personalized recommendations to improve your credit score and your financial situation generally. It can be very helpful. I wish that I had had this when I filed bankruptcy. I would have filed much sooner, and then I would have been living in this beautiful house that I bought with a mortgage post-bankruptcy much sooner as well. So if you're considering bankruptcy, if you're concerned about how it's going to impact your ability to get a mortgage, I can tell you from experience, it absolutely can give you a fresh start, and you absolutely can get a mortgage down the road. Mine took me about 8 years. I didn't try prior to that, but when I applied at 8 years, it really didn't affect my interest rate very much at all. And by 10 years, it will not be on your credit report either. Bankruptcies fall off at 10 years, and then you don't have to worry about it at all. You'll be able to get a typical conventional mortgage as long as your credit is good still. Okay, now let's recap. Today, we discussed how you can qualify for a mortgage after bankruptcy. We talked about waiting periods and the available different loan types that you might be able to get post-bankruptcy. We talked about my personal story and the fact that absolutely you can get a mortgage after bankruptcy just like I did. And we talked about practical steps to rebuild your financial standing. Now, if you're ready to take the next step, I'd encourage you again, visit upsolve.org, explore your debt relief options and our free screener. It can feel scary to think about debt. It can feel scary to think about how that's going to affect your future credit options. That's why we built Upsolve to help guide you through the process, give you support and resources along the way so that you can rebuild your financial future. Now, how about you? What's your biggest concern about bankruptcy? How do you feel about a mortgage before or after bankruptcy? Let us know in the comments or shoot an email to breakfree@upsolve.org. We love hearing from you. Your stories inspire us and they inspire others to break free from debt and build financial joy. Join us for our next episode on Monday, February 3rd, where we'll discuss how to settle credit card debt before going to court. Really important topic. Subscribe to the Break Free podcast. New episodes drop Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. And quick announcement. We have launched a live webinar with debt and finance experts that happens every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our first episode featured Upsolve's Director of Bankruptcy, Claire Robinson. It was an incredible opportunity to ask questions and get insights. We have live Q&A during these episodes. So if you have questions about things like, is bankruptcy right for me? I don't know. Is this going to affect my credit? Is it going to affect my mortgage? How can I get a mortgage? You can hop on, you can ask me questions, you can ask our guest questions, and you can get insights to help you move forward. You can find a link to our webinar page in the show notes. Don't miss your chance to ask the experts your pressing finance questions. Man, can I get through a sentence? I'll see you on the next webinar this coming Monday night and on Monday morning for another episode of Break Free. Until then, take care, keep living your best life financially, and I'll see you soon.